The Reynolds research project was set up so that we could find out more about the 12 paintings by Sir Joshua Reynolds in the Wallace Collection, and also make decisions about the treatment of these paintings. Reynolds' technique is notoriously complicated, and so this is an amazing opportunity to be able to examine 12 of his paintings side by side and make really informed decisions about their treatment. For this reason, we've collaborated with the National Gallery. They've been able to provide expertise and the space for us to undertake this really interesting project. In the first stages of the project, all the paintings were brought to the National Gallery to be photographed and have X-rays and infrared images taken. Because of the concerns surrounding Reynolds' technique, none of the paintings in the Wallace Collection had been cleaned for over 100 years, and so we wanted to find out whether it would be possible to remove the varnish from some of the paintings that were highly discoloured. Of the 12 paintings that we examined, there are 3 that we've chosen to treat: Miss Jane Bowles, the Duke of Queensberry, and the portrait of Miss Nelly O'Brien. Nelly O'Brien was a famous 18th century courtesan, and she sat for Reynolds on a number of occasions. At the beginning, we take photographs to record the initial state of the painting before anything's done. But then during the treatment process, it's important also to document the transition from one state to a next. And also very important to take photographs before we put anything back on, before the retouching stage of the process. One of the first stages of the technical analysis is to X-ray the painting. And this can tell us quite a lot about how the artist has painted. It might show us changes that he's made during the process of painting. And in this X-ray we can actually see drips which have formed in the underlays of the paint when Reynolds has applied it. In this portrait we found that Reynolds had originally portrayed the hands of the sitter around the dog, but later changed them to the cross position that we see. The thumb here was originally under the dog's nose, but then in the final picture the sitter's arms are crossed across her body. The second imaging technique that we use to examine the paintings is infrared reflectography, which doesn't penetrate all the layers of the painting like an X-ray, but tells us about some of the underlying paint layers. On the portrait of Nelly O'Brien, one element that showed up in the infrared were these stripes underneath the brim of the hat. Contemporary prints of the time also included these lines so that we know that they're part of the original painting. Reynolds said that no painter ever made a fortune by his hands alone, and we see that Reynolds was using studio assistants and drapery painters to help him keep up with the high demand for paintings from his studio. In portraits such as the Duke of Queensberry, we think a drapery painter did originally paint his cloak, but Reynolds has then gone back in and made some changes, including moving some of the spots. We can see the original position of the spots more clearly in the infrared reflectogram. Then we took samples of the paintings for cross-section and medium analysis. Microscopic samples are taken from carefully selected areas, and these are analysed to find out what paint is made from and what varnish has been used. What we have found from the medium analysis is that Reynolds was adding different materials to his paint. Reynolds often used lots of resin in his paint to imitate the effect of aged old master paintings, but this has contributed to cracking. This cross-section is taken from Nelly's pink skirt. Magnified 50 times, we can see that Reynolds has used 2 red pigments to create the pink colour. One of these pigments is Red Lake, which is prone to fading, and the other is Vermilion, which is stable and has retained its bright colouring. So, before working out how to clean the painting, we tested using a range of organic solvents, and this combination is the one that we chose. This solvent will be tested on a number of different areas on the painting to make sure that it works everywhere. At this stage, 2 of the paintings have been cleaned and we're in the process of treating the 3rd one, Miss Nelly O'Brien. Once small tests are made, larger areas of the varnish are removed until the whole painting is clean. The discoloured varnish hides the colours of the painting, and once it's removed we can see the pinks and blues that Reynolds intended in the drapery. And the dark background will start to recede as well. UV light is used to check the cleaning process. This helps us to monitor the removal of the varnish added by the 19th century restorers. The UV light is making the degraded varnish layers fluoresce. Now the upper varnish layers have been removed from this area of the painting, the restorations that were underneath the varnish show dark spots on the paint surface in UV light. The new varnish is applied with a brush over the whole surface of the painting, and because it's a new synthetic varnish, it won't discolour over time and can easily be removed. The final stage will be to retouch any small losses. Today Nelly O'Brien has come back to the Wallace Collection after being restored over the past year. A final application of the synthetic varnish was applied over the painting using a spray gun so as not to disturb the retouching, and then once that was dry, the painting was carefully refitted in its frame. Given Reynolds' notoriously experimental and often complicated technique, the results of the Reynolds research project have allowed us to make informed decisions about the treatment of his paintings, and we're very pleased that this cautious approach has allowed us to clean one of his most important paintings, the portrait of Nelly O'Brien.
Yeah, it's down on the right, so if it could come up a twist on the right. Yeah.
At the end of a treatment, it's very satisfying to see the painting being brought towards more of the artist's intention. The real quality of the coloration and the depth of field in the background have really been improved, and she can be seen as the truly great painting that she is.
Nelly is the first painting you see on entering the West Room, and she now hangs in a new display of British portraiture by Reynolds, Gainsborough and Romney of female sitters. The display, I think, also highlights very nicely the taste of our founders for Georgian beauties. Nelly will also be the centrepiece of our forthcoming exhibition, Joshua Reynolds Experiments in Paint, which opens in March 2015. This exhibition will highlight the results of our 4-year investigation into Reynolds' methods and materials. It offers a new interpretation of Reynolds as a highly innovative thinker and painter, and will explore the experimental nature of his artistic practice.